GM, thank you everybody for joining. We've got a great crypto weekly recap to go over with you this week. We've got some news stories covering some scandals in Bitcoin, some new developments in the innovation around protocols for Ethereum and Polygon, and some major companies are looking into getting into NFTs. Let's dive in.
Let's go.
All right, with our first story, I wanted to cover a DeFi project, Aave. They launched a decentralized social media platform on Polygon called Lens Protocol. Now, this is pretty interesting because we've seen a couple attempts at people try to take a stab at decentralized social media, but what they put together was this open source Web3 smart contract-based social graph that uses these dynamic NFTs. And so what users can do is they can create NFT-based profiles that contain the history of all their posts, their comments, and the content they generate. And even their followers are wrapped up in this NFT. So what the creators came out and said is they believe that content creators should own their audiences in a permissionless fashion. So what this allows is that anyone can build new user experiences by creating the same on-chain social graph and data. The founders went on Twitter and they pointed out that Twitter makes all their revenue from your tweets and your content that you create. And Twitter decides which of your tweets get traction through the algorithm. So by creating this decentralized social graph, developers can start creating their own applications that all pull from the same user profile. So for example, if you have an account on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram, you lose your followers and your content when you go from platform to platform. But now with Lens Protocol, if developers build this out, you could have one user profile that is connected to all your social media platforms in a decentralized fashion. So I'm interested to see how this works. It's also cool to think about back in the day when some of these major social media platforms took off. One of the big reasons they were able to do so is they provided all the computing infrastructure. Basically, Twitter and Facebook handle all the servers and the networking to power like this massive internet network. And now with Web3, the computing can be handled by like the blockchain, Ethereum or Polygon. And so we don't need these massive companies to run these resources for us. So time will tell if a decentralized Twitter or Facebook really have legs. But for now, I think it's a cool story.
Right, I agree. I was also super excited about this. For one, that Aave launches it. So like a company that has proven to make good apps, and that they're not building a social platform, but a protocol for everyone to create like a social platform without walled gardens, so to say. So that you will have, if everybody's going to use this protocol, you will have like all different social platforms, but like one identity, so to say, across all the social platforms. So I'm super excited about this. And I know you said that they have been tried before, but I think trying it as NFTs has not been tried before. And I think we needed NFTs for this and not like a token, like a fungible token to make this work. So I'm super excited about this. Of course, they will still have to compete with, Facebook, Twitter, the big guys. So yeah, curious about how it will all turn out, but it's super exciting.
For sure. Especially if they are able to gain some kind of traction. I'm sure we'll see Facebook try to do some kind of merging with Instagram. So it's not going to be an easy route, but it definitely puts the power in the people's hands, and we'll see what the developers can come up with.
Speaking of social platforms diving into NFTs, YouTube released a blog post where they mentioned plans to explore Web3 technologies such as NFTs in battle against increasing competition with TikTok and Instagram. In their blog post, they mention, and I quote, "Giving a verifiable way for fans to own unique videos, photos, art, and even experiences from their favorite creators could be a compelling prospect for creators and their audience." YouTube also has prioritized the metaverse. They haven't shared clear plans, but one possibility would be allowing users to watch videos together in a metaverse. Overall, the blog lays out more details on YouTube's bigger focus on building more tools for creators this year. And I think that's great, and NFTs are definitely a way to do that because you could create tools that users actually own. And I was expecting for YouTube is owned by Google, to do this earlier, because I remember my first time diving into VR was this cardboard VR headset, like super cheap one. I think you could buy it from for $5, like 10 years ago. I think Google was one of the first to do this, and you could place your smartphone in it, and that was like my first VR experience. So, speaking of the metaverse and stuff like that, I expected Google to make this step earlier than they have, but I know they will do a great job at it, and so yeah, curious how it will all turn out, but I have big hopes.
Totally, yeah. I do remember Google Cardboard too. You had to use a Android phone that was compatible with it for the VR experience. So it's definitely a realm that they've got the experience, and we all know they've got the developer and the money behind it that they could build something like this. Something interesting to point out too is that YouTube is the second biggest search engine behind Google. So how people are actively searching on YouTube, and it'll be cool to see how we have the possibility to own some of these videos, because some of these videos on YouTube are literally like the most viewed parts of the internet. So how we start attributing value and ownership to them besides just who uploads it will be pretty cool. So transitioning away from social media, let's talk about some government seizures of Bitcoin. So this was a pretty big news story this week. The US government seized $3.6 billion in Bitcoin tied to a 2016 hack from the exchange Bitfinex. Now, 3.6 billion is a massive amount, but what I thought was crazy was these hackers actually stole 60 million at the time. So at the time, the Bitcoin they stole was worth 60 million, and over the last 5-6 years, it's gained value, it's appreciated, it's now worth almost 4 billion. So I mean, I can't even imagine what those people felt like watching their stolen treasure grow. But something I want to point out here is that we see a lot of news stories about hacks, and I was even a little cautious to bring this up today, because every time that a hack happens, mainstream news picks up on it. Even my dad will text me and say, hey, look, Bitcoin got hacked again. Yeah. And I want to point out that this hack was done to an exchange and not the blockchain. And there's a big difference. Exchanges can be thought of like, just like Facebook can get hacked, or we've seen Target get hacked, Equifax in the past, like companies and their servers can get hacked. And this is a similar way to how these hackers were able to come in, but the blockchain itself was not compromised. And it was actually the public ledger and the public transactions that were able to lead the government. They were able to follow the public transactions until they were able to find who these people were. And the story gets pretty crazy. The two people who were indicted have kind of strange backgrounds, and one of the women, her name's Heather Morgan. She has a rap alias named Razzle Khan, and so the memes are pretty crazy when you start diving on the internet and watch her YouTube videos. So pretty wild that someone who kind of makes random rap YouTube videos was able to pull this off. We'll see if they were really the only two involved as more details emerge. But all the seized Bitcoin will be returned to the exchange, and there'll be a process to claim if you were part of the incident that happened back in 2016. So I'm just happy that there's going to be some resolution to this, and hopefully we can start getting the message out that it's not the blockchain that was ever compromised, but an exchange. And today, exchanges are super safe. Coinbase, Gemini, Voyager, very trusted sources. But it's also important to think about storing your crypto on a hardware wallet.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, because people hear hack, they hear Bitcoin in one sentence, they think, oh, this money is like hackable or whatever, but it's mostly centralized exchanges that keep information on servers that can be hacked. And it's funny, yeah, I watched her rap videos as well, and it was weird. It was it was funny as well.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's interesting story, and I'm glad that people are getting their money back, because it's funny that it took so long, but they probably wait until people have to cash out, or after 2 years the hackers might think, now I can move my money, or now I can cash out, but they probably still
they were doing some transactions, and it was some of those transactions that eventually were able to lead them back to a wallet associated with one of the people that were indicted. So they had stolen this mass amount, but actually they had used relatively little of that money over the years because it is hard to move and because of the traceability and the nature of Bitcoin.
And on to the next story. Crypto.com closes a $100 million sponsorship deal for the naming rights to Formula One Miami Grand Prix, which means that the race is now officially named the Formula One Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix, with Crypto.com's logo featuring on the podium and winners' trophies. In the span of 8 months, Crypto.com has signed sponsorship deals with the biggest names in sports like Miami Heat, Major League Baseball, Los Angeles Staples Center, the Golden State Warriors, and the Washington Wizards and Capitals. It's crazy. The amount of money Crypto.com is throwing at marketing is insane. And although I'm not a user of Crypto.com, I think it's still amazing, and I'm super excited about this. Why? Because they are onboarding millions of users to crypto, and most of them will start exploring other projects and investing in different assets. So in the end, everyone wins. And I know that sometimes people like to shout, oh, decentralization, marketing is bad, but this is how you attract people from Web 2, and they're used to like ads. That's how you get people to adopt a certain technology, So marketing is needed, and I'm super excited. Not a Crypto.com user, but we have worked with Crypto.com before, and super excited for them. So this is great news.
Yeah, I'm not a Crypto.com user either, but I think I need to check them out just because I see their ads all the time. I mean, I've seen the Matt Damon one, which is great, and overall, this adoption helps everyone. It helps bring more talent into this space. It helps regulations get pushed forward. So it's awesome to see their marketing push, and it will kind of be interesting to see how they compete with Coinbase, just as the different marketing techniques kind of battle. But we'll probably see a Super Bowl commercial from Crypto.com. I got a feeling.
Yeah, I'm really curious what Super Bowl will bring. I heard some rumors about Bored Apes or something. But yeah, I wouldn't surprise if like a big exchange would be there, like Crypto.com or some rival who wants to compete with Crypto.com's marketing spends.
All right, moving on to Unstoppable News. We've got a couple updates this week. The first is we had an OpenSea.NFT domain release. Now, we teamed up with OpenSea and released 99 .NFT premium domains. So you can head over to our OpenSea collection. The link will be in the description of this video. Check them out. You can still buy them on secondary. So there are some pretty cool names out there. One of my favorites was DAO.NFT. I think that could be a good one. To follow up on that, our podcast is back. The Unstoppable Podcast just released a new episode on Wednesday of this past week. I interviewed Matthew Gold, our CEO and co-founder of Unstoppable Domains. We broke down the evolution of digital identity, and we went super deep. Matt is such a smart person around, honestly, everything and business and tech, but identity is something that he spent years thinking about. And I think that this podcast can provide a lot of insight to people on the power of an NFT domain, but more importantly, just the future of what a Web3 identity could look like, how you can associate your data with it, and eventually build an on-chain reputation. So check that out. Link's going to be in the description below.
Dude, just shout out to you because I watched that episode and you asked really great questions. Overall, like amazing episode, and made me realize how much I missed the podcast. And Matthew...
Thanks, Mago.
Yeah, and Matthew, like his brain goes into the future, and he has a way explaining things in a good way, and like so much insight. I really enjoyed that episode. That will make you understand like what Unstoppable is going for, and like the future of social media, the internet, like how it all will work. And super great, like amazing episode. Like I'm not trying to oversell it, but like I really loved it. It was a really great episode.
Totally, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was. I learned a lot, and like I just found myself learning as we were talking, which I think is just a sign of a good episode. It was actually our most listened to podcast episode in terms of first day unique listeners ever on the Unstoppable podcast. So huge milestone just for marking our return. And I think just signifies that people are interested in the subject.
Dope, man. Really excited to future episodes. Community member of the week is Mustachio.crypto. I would like to give a big shout out to him for making a list of active UD fan members on Twitter. So it's, Twitter list. So he made a Twitter list on Twitter with all the active UD fan members that you can follow. And I thought it was super thoughtful, and it's great to see community embracing each other with initiatives like this. Like, I love UD fam and how they interact with each other. Also, I'll add that I think your domain name is pretty dope. Mustachio.crypto, and it fits perfectly with his NFT avatar, which is, I think, a dead head with a mustache. Keep being awesome.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Yeah.
I've seen him on Twitter commenting on the podcast too. So shout out to you, man. Appreciate the support. And our NFT artist of the week is Cloncast. So Cloncast is one of the creators and the artists behind the Cool Cats NFT project. And they just recently had a massive NFT drop today for their Cool Pets, which is one of their secondary collections. Their Cool Cats just minted out. They had 20,000 of them, sold at 0.5 each, and they sold out within minutes. These pets are part of Cooltopia, which is the Cool Cats ecosystem. There's a gamified economy driven by their milk token that you can use to go on quests. There's a marketplace. It's super cool. I don't know. I'm just kind of chuckling right now because when you say this stuff out loud, you're kind of like, what's going on? But honestly, it's a very cool application of tokenomics, NFTs, and a broader marketplace, and just a way for users to really come in and actually use these NFTs in fun, collaborative ways. So shout out to you as an artist, and you're building a really great community.
I agree. Awesome project and cool pets. I wish I could have grabbed me one, but it got sold out in a minute or something. So maybe if the floor price doesn't skyrocket, I might grab one in a day or two. But we'll see. And then meme of the week, and this is literally me. After crypto going to bear market and going down, and then going up for 10%, I'm like, yeah, and then you realize that you're still down 50%. So that meme made me chuckle. That was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good meme. Well, that's it for us today on this Crypto Weekly Recap. Let us know your thoughts on if there's a topic you'd like to see covered on future weeks, and we'll keep making sure we're bringing you the latest in Web3 and what's happening in the metaverse. So with that, my name's Josh. I'm joined by my colleague Mago. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Josh, thanks for having me, and see you next week.